Hey everyone, welcome back to our YouTube channel. I am Coding Bug and in this tutorial we'll learn how to create a stunning navigation menu like this one using HTML, CSS and JavaScript. So let's get started. Here we have a container div element. Next we have another div element with a class menu. Inside the menu div, there is a navigation div which likely contains the navigation menu item. Next we have a span element. Now these variables are used to control the positioning or styling of the element. Here I variable is set to 0, x variable is set to -1 and y variable is set to 0. Next we'll change the I variables like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up to 7. Next we have a div element with the class close. Now let's set CSS. Here we have a universal selector. We set the margin and the padding to 0. Box sizing is set to border box. Now let's tell the container. Here width and height is set to 100%. Mean height is set to 100 VH. So that is set the minimum height of the container. Display is set to flex. Justify content and align item is set to center. And here we set a background color of a dark blue. Now let's tell the menu class. Here position is set to relative. Width and height is set to 170 pixel. So they define the width and height of this menu container. Display is set to flex. Justify content and align item is set to center. Now let's target the class navigation. Here position is set to relative. Width and height is set to 40 pixel. Here it defines the width and height of the each navigation icon. Display is set to flex. Justify content and align item is set to center. Cursor is set to pointer and the transition is set to 0.5 second. So they change the mouse. It changes the applies a smooth transition effect over 0.5 second. Now let's target the span element. Here position is set to absolute. Width and height is set to 7 pixel. So that make them small square. Display is set to flex. Justify content and align item is set to center. Background is set to white. Transform is set to translate. Calc 14 pixel into var x and calc 14 pixel into var y. It is to translate the span element based on their position, creating animation effect. Now these variables are likely used for position element within the menu. Next, we set the transition to transform 0.5 second. Width is set to 0.5 second and height is set to 0.5 second. So it applies a smooth transition to the transform width and height properties. Next, we set the transition delay. Here we set the transition delay to cal 0.1 second into var I. Next, we'll add a script tag importing an ES model version of Iconicons. Now we'll add icons. Here we'll add icons of video cam. Next we'll add an icon of flame. Next, we'll add an icon of bulb. In the i3 variable, we'll add an icon of build. In the i4 variable, we'll add an icon of thermometer. And in the i5 variable, we'll add an icon of water. In the i6 variable, we'll add an icon of alarm. And in the i7, we'll add an icon of radio. Next, we'll add an icon of close. Now let's target the icon element within the span element. Here color is set to white. Font size is set to 0.25 rem so that it makes them relatively small. Transition is set to 0.5 seconds so that it applies a smooth transition. Now let's target the icon element within the span element of active navigation. Here font size is set to 1.75 rem so that it increases the font size of the icon. Transition is set to 0.5 seconds so that it applies a 0.5 second transition, ensuring a smooth transition. Now let's target the icon element within the span when it is hover. Here color is set to a bright green color. Next, we set the filter to a drop shadow filter with multiple layers when hovering. This creates a shadow effect that gives the icon a sense of depth and interaction. Now let's target the span element within active navigation icon. Here width and height is set to 45 pixels. Background is set to blue-gray color. And transform is set to translate. Calc 60 pixel into var x variable and calc 60 pixel into var y variable. Now let's target the close class. Here position is set to absolute. Width and height is set to 7 pixels. Display is set to flex. Justify content and align item is set to center. Background is set to white. Transition we apply as 0.5 second transition so that it smoothly animate. And the cursor is set to pointer. Now let's target the class close within the menu. Here width is set to 40 pixels. Height is set to 40 pixels. Pointer event is set to initial so that it allows the button to receive pointer event. Transition delay is set to 0.8 second. Next we set the background to a bright green color and the color is set to white. Now let's target the icon element within the close element. Here color is set to dark color. Font size is set to 2.5 rem. Scale is set to 0 so that it initially scales the icon to 0 making it invisible. Transition is set to 1 second so that it smoothly animate. Now let's target the icon element within the close element when it follows to an active navigation menu. Here scale is set to 1 so that it make fully visible when the menu is active, and transition delay is set to 0.5 second. Now let's set JavaScript. Here we have an element with the class navigation and assign it to the variable navigation. Next we have an element with the class close and assign it to the variable close. Next we add a click event handler. to the navigation element so that when it is clicked, it adds the class active to the navigation element. Next, we add a click event to the close element so that when it is clicked, it removes the class active from the navigation element so that it likely deactivating the menu. So that's it for today's video. If you enjoy what you saw, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button below for more exciting content like this.